Hello, good morning, students. Please subscribe the channel, drop a like, share, and comment. This is Shree Vishnu Art Press Publications, exercise number 1 and 2 on the speed of 90 words per minute. Start. Learned counsel for the appellant submitted that once the election process has been started, this court should not interfere. He submitted that after the election being held, it is always open to challenge the election on various grounds, including the issue relating to the finalization of the voter list at the time of approval by the regional level committee, and thus the impugned order passed by the learned single judge is liable to be set aside. He further submitted that the election process has been started in pursuance of the direction given by this court. The voter list has been prepared after due consideration and after verification of their identity through their affidavits and other documents. Whether voter list finalized by the authorized controller was correct or not is a disputed question of fact which cannot be looked into by this court in writ jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution of India and can only be looked into by the court of fact after the election being held. Respondents will have every right to challenge the entire election before the regional level committee on the ground of alleged irregularities in the preparation of the voter list. This court has consistently held that once the election process has been started, this court should not interfere. If any party has any grievance about the finalization of the voter list or about the voter list, it is always open to such person to challenge the same in the appropriate proceeding, namely under the statute, rules or regulations, or by filing suit in the competent court of law. Therefore, we are of the view that after the declaration of the election program, interference by this court is wholly unjustified. After the order dated 2/5/2008 passed by the ex-district inspector of schools, the issue relating to voter list had not become final. The order of the district inspector of schools was subject to further scrutiny and verification, and in pursuance thereof, the process of verification was started by the authorized controller. Such further proceeding has not been challenged by the petitioner's respondents. Rather, petitioner's respondents submitted before the authorized controller for the purpose of verification. Therefore, it cannot be said that process started for the finalization of the voter list after 2/5/2008 was not justified. However, it is always open to the petitioner's respondents to challenge the voter list after the election in an appropriate proceeding referred herein above. In the result, special appeal is allowed. The impugned order dated 8th December 2008, passed by the learned single judge, is set aside, and writ petition number 63078 of 2008, Rajeshwar Prasad Singh and others versus State of UP and others, stands dismissed. The authorized controller is directed to issue election program from the date from where the election process has been stayed within a period of 2 weeks by all means, and hold the election on the basis of impugned voter list within a period of 2 months by all means. There shall be no order as to costs. The learned counsel for the petitioner submitted that there was no irregularity in the publication of the auction, and consequently the auction could not have been cancelled on the sole ground that the consideration was inadequate. The learned counsel further submitted that, assuming without admitting that the auction could be cancelled on account of inadequacy of the consideration, in that event, before cancelling, the petitioner should have been given an opportunity to revise his bid. Further, the learned counsel submitted that the impugned order cancelling the auction was violative of the principles of natural justice, and that an opportunity of hearing was required to be given, which was also contemplated and provided under Rule 115S of the UP Zamindari Abolition and Land Reforms Rules 1952. In support of his submission, the learned counsel has placed reliance upon a decision of the Supreme Court in Ram and Shyam Company versus State of Haryana and others, 1985, 3 SCC 267, wherein the learned counsel placed emphasis upon the observation made by the Supreme Court in paragraphs 13 and 18 of its judgment, which provided that an opportunity ought to have been given to the petitioner to improve his bid when his bid was rejected on the ground that it did not represent the adequate market consideration. Having heard the learned counsel for the petitioner and having perused the counter affidavit filed by the state, the court is of the opinion that the submissions raised by the learned counsel for the petitioner is patently misconceived and bereft of merit. The judgment cited by the learned counsel is not applicable to the present facts and circumstances of the case. In Ram and Shyam Company, Supra, the Supreme Court found that the petitioner's bid was the highest but was rejected on the ground that another competitor arbitrarily gave an enhanced bid subsequently. It was in that light that the Supreme Court held that an opportunity of hearing should have been provided to the petitioner to enhance his bid, but this is not the case in the present scenario. In the present case, the bid has been cancelled by the state authorities on the ground that the bid was inadequate. No doubt, detailed reasons have not been given in the impugned order, but the counter affidavit reveals the ground for cancellation of the auction. The state has come out with the stand that the High Court had delivered a judgment in which the court had directed that the fisheries lease in future should be granted at the minimum rate of rupees 10,000 per hectare per year. This judgment was delivered prior to the advertisement issued in the present case. Since the direction of the court was violated, the advertisement itself became incorrect. The reasoning given by the authority in the impugned order was correct, namely that the bid was inadequate, though detailed reasons were not given, but that become immaterial since a direction of the court was not followed by the authorities.